to the Spread Nesson's sports betting picks podcast, vodcast, extravaganza, collection of media and content to cover all your sports needs. I am Nesson.com's Mike Cole, joined once again and as always by Ricky Doyle, also of Nesson.com fame. Ricky, how are you?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Doing okay. Yeah. It's good.
Good. Okay.
Good, not great. Just good.
Just a couple guys trying to squeeze in a podcast before going to some more meetings and doing other stuff. Well. So we're going to talk about we're going to get back in the swing of things with the NFL, which is our bread and butter. Also, I've been told the Olympics start this week, so we'll get to that as well. Maybe at the end. To be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to really dive in too much into the Olympics. I feel this is the year I'm really going to break through on the shooting and the archery and the equestrian, maybe a nice parlay. So maybe that'll come to me as we go. You had a thought experiment for the Olympics that I would like you to kind of run through at some point regarding medals. Gold, silver, and bronze.
Yeah.
Hopefully, did you get to that?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I got 2/3 done. So
it was a little easier than I was anticipating.
I'm gonna let you. When we get to that point, I'll let you start because I want to see which direction you're taking it before I put my chips on the table.
So
but
that doesn't make you want to stick around. I don't know what will.
Exactly. So that's a tease for the end. So yeah, we'll start with the NFL. We'll start with Bill Belichick. Before we do you have any lingering thoughts that you want to get off your chest that have something to do with something other than sports?
No, I feel like last week we covered it all. We covered the weather. We covered our vehicular issues. This has been kind of a whatever week.
I got a haircut.
You did. You look good. I like your shirt as well.
I'm going to add barber to the ongoing list of jobs that I would like to maybe explore at some point. We talked about.
I've said this before, right? I know you have your mailman aspirations. I'm
also into tow truck driving now too.
That'd be cool.
So.
Barber is one thing. It's always kind of been on my radar. I just don't know if I'd be any good at it. Like I want to be in the know. Like I love the social component of it, just owning a barbershop. But maybe I'd like own it and then kind of be a hands-off owner.
That's a good call too.
As I'd butcher everyone's hair.
I have a new barber now. Love him. He's got a shop that is in an old train depot, which is probably pretty easy to figure out if you really wanted to. But he's got a TV on. He's just got all the streaming services hooked up. He's in there just shooting the breeze with anyone who walks in. So I got there yesterday, 9 a.m., popping a Lifesaver mint on my way in. I'm not kidding, and I don't have a very in-depth hairstyle. It's pretty white, pretty basic.
Yep.
He finished cutting my hair before I finished the Lifesaver. So it was like literally, I think like 9 minutes, if that. I paid the man $50. I know he has overhead and things like that, but that seems like pretty good return on investment. If I
would say so, yeah.
$50 for
that's a steep haircut.
Is 40 plus a tip.
Okay, yeah.
Is that it? What do you tip? Is it?
So mine usually costs, let's see, 25. I think I give him 35.
Oh, so now that makes me look bad.
Well, I want to,
but I guess
I'm not gonna dime you out.
Going over 50 for.
Oh no, maybe mine's
2 on the side and
maybe mine's 35. Mine had a big jump. I think mine's 35 now, and maybe I give him 45.
This is nice.
But this is like over the past I give him the $10. Yeah, whatever.
No, you got on me for paying $50. You're paying $45.
I know. The more I think of it, well, because they jacked it up
inflation.
Out of nowhere. Yeah,
am I right? So,
but here's what I would like to do when I become owner of the barbershop, but I don't cut hair because I would be, like I said, I would get too nervous. I would get flustered in the pocket. But what I would like to do is I would like to own this is a little like maybe like a plaza type deal, but it's all under one roof.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a barbershop, a laundromat, and then a bar, and it's all gonna be right there. And you can spend like a nice little Saturday afternoon there if you like. Just knock out all your errands and
I like that.
Be on your way. So
I like that. Yeah. So.
So feel free to steal that idea. Anybody has the money, because I certainly don't. Otherwise, it'd be.
I guess haircuts never. I guess you'll always need a barber. That's a pretty recession-proof.
It survived the pandemic.
AI at some point. Speaking of the pandemic, I was cutting my hair during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't have a future in barber.
I wear a hat a lot anyway.
That was my thing. Is I'm like I can cut this thing down enough so it's not bothering me, and I'll just wear a hat.
I wear a hat anytime I'm not at work, basically. This is the only. So this show is the only time I don't have. I
would wear a hat if I could, but we tried it one time. We got yelled at.
It's true. So the shadows were bad.
If you check out other podcasts on the Nesson Podcast Network, plenty of people wearing hats. So
we picked wrong hats.
All right. Speaking of great haircuts, Bill Belichick. We're gonna start there, I guess. It's kind of weird. It hasn't totally sunk in. I was actually literally just reading Gerard Mayo's transcript from day one of training camp before you walked in here, and it still hasn't totally sunk in. But it also is kind of weird that we're like football is here, and for the first time in 108 years, Bill Belichick is not on a staff somewhere.
Yeah.
It actually did come out that I guess Kyle Shanahan basically confirmed that he offered Belichick a job, so he could have technically had a job, but turned it down. So it sounds like this transitional period without Bill Belichick on an NFL sideline will be short-lived if we're to believe some of the reporting that's been out there basically since he's been fired. But Dan Graziano at ESPN, the most recent one, said Belichick wants to coach again. He's chasing Shula. People close to Belichick say they believe he still wants to coach at least long enough to get the 15 wins needed to surpass Shula. And then he'll have his eye open on potential opportunities as he goes along. So that means just about every coach who's on the hot seat will probably have to deal with the speculation that Belichick is looking over his shoulder and that his bosses might be considering hiring Belichick. We, thanks to, I think it was betonline.ag, we've got some Belichick odds to kind of pour over. The most basic and the place we'll start is, will Bill Belichick coach in the year, we'll say 2025, next season. It could even come as early as this season.
Yeah.
Yes is a prohibitive -200 favorite. No, +150. Are we both on the same page here that he will coach again?
Yeah,
soon as the season.
He's doing a hell of a job of leaking it out there, huh? That he wants to coach next year.
No kidding.
This is. This kind of felt inevitable even back when there were still openings and he was kind of working through the process. I know it came down, the Falcons thing seemed like maybe it was on the table, but when you looked around, you were like, he might be better off waiting a year, get the stink off him, and then can pick his spot. Really, any job that opens next year, I got to think that he'd be a strong candidate.
We talked about this during the season last year.
Yeah,
because I remember throwing the Buffalo idea out there before he even. I think that was at the point where the season had gone completely down the crapper, and they were clearly not going to make the playoffs, and it was pretty obvious they were going to make a change. But even so, there was speculation, I think, about Washington very early on too. So this exit plan started before the exit actually happened, and is continuing far beyond the exit. Related to that, BetOnline also had a market for, will Bill Belichick break Don Shula's all-time win record? Yes, -130, no, -110. I don't have a strong take on that. I think a lot of that will depend on what we're going to get into, which is...
What is it, 15 wins?
It's 15, I think, to break it, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
a lot, man.
Yeah, but that's if he returns, he's obviously going to have a good situation.
Yeah.
He wouldn't put himself in a spot where he's going to win fewer than, let's say, 8 games. Then 2 seasons of that, and you're on your way.
The more I think about it, it's kind of wild that the numbers are what they are, considering there really didn't seem, outside the dalliance with Atlanta, there wasn't a whole lot of interest in him. And I don't know exactly why that would change necessarily.
Well, I think the year off helps. I think that I'm not.
Yes and no. I think part of the reason he's probably getting passed over jobs is because he's old and out of touch. Is he going to get?
I don't think that's the. I think next year your spots will open up. Like I said, the stink will wear off a little bit. There's also, I think, kind of this resignation now that he does not need complete power. I think that he's kind of relented on that, or at least that's what it certainly feels that way.
I will believe that when I see it.
So you think if he goes to a situation where, so the other one, Graziano's colleague there, Jeremy Fowler, said that he wants the Philly job in the worst way, or that's his sense. If he gets the Philly job, he's not going to have control of that front office.
Yeah, I guess so. Not. Who knows? I mean, there's gonna be something in there.
I also,
he might not
if
have,
he goes to Dallas, which is like the other. That's if you want to talk about the odds a little bit. That's the even money favorite.
Well, so it's interesting.
He's probably
too.
not going to have that power in Dallas.
Before we got into the odds, there's a whole lot. There's a ton of Belichick stuff out there. All of a sudden, Colin Cowherd, I think he just was kind of talking about it and suggested or reported Belichick ideally would like to stay on not the East Coast, but in the east
on the eastern side
so
of the United States.
Is that? I mean, we talking Lewis and Clark type of stuff here, or what's the deal? Is that
the line
east
of demarcation?
Mississippi? Is that
the midfield marker?
The Appalachians? I don't know. And he wants a franchise with a stable quarterback. So that's a pretty narrow needle to thread, especially when you're talking about what jobs are going to be open.
That's why he's gonna, if he comes back, he'll break Shula's record, right? Like he's
not going
you
for
in a spot like that, you got a good chance of racking up wins.
So I think for me, two options jump off the page, and I hadn't seen the Fowler thing, but that Philly was one of them. Philly makes all the sense in the world. It's not very far from here at all. Like I think you can get on a private jet and be in Nantucket in probably an hour. There is a quarterback situation that's not bad. Like Jalen Hurts, I feel like it's the kind of quarterback in 10 years from now we'll be like, is he good? And we still won't totally know, but it's good enough, I think. The other one for me is Buffalo. I think McDermott is probably on some relatively thin ice, and I do think I buy into like the spite thing that Cowherd also talked about, the idea that he can come back and kind of shove it up Kraft's ass, or Jonathan's ass, or
somebody's
ass, is probably pretty appealing to a guy who seems rather vengeful or spiteful. Dallas, I guess. Do you consider Dallas is the NFC East? Is that good enough for you, considering that's basically in the middle of the country? It's southern.
It's gotta be
central of the country.
That's really straddling the line.
That is probably right about where East ends. But that one, I look at that and like if we're talking East, staying in the East plus having a quarterback situation, I don't know what the Dak Prescott thing is gonna. Who knows what their quarterback's gonna be next year?
Yeah,
it could change. Another one I looked at, Atlanta. If Michael Penix is good, but at the same time, they just hired a coach and they passed over Belichick, so that's probably going to cross.
It seems like
list.
they drew their line in the sand, where they stand. So I would probably rule them out.
One interesting one, Baltimore. If John Harbaugh decides he doesn't want to do it anymore, because I have a hard time believing they would fire him, but certainly Lamar Jackson and Baltimore, that one makes all the sense in the world. He can go back to Maryland, Navy, full circle. Got it. Miami, if a Tua deal gets done and for some reason Mike McDaniel falls out of favor there, I can't see that happening necessarily. The last one that checks all the boxes in that
regard, just picking every team in the league?
New England. And I don't think that one's going to happen. I'm looking at teams on the East with stable quarterback situations that are probably good. That's it. So it's a small list as it is. You look at the odds, the Cowboys are the favorite at, what is this, plus?
Which I think people are looking at.
Even money? Yeah, Cowboys even money. Jets 5-1. Eagles 6-1, Bears 8-1, Giants 10-1.
There's been kind of that Cowboys smoke for like what, 2 years now. Like even before last season, I feel like there was like, well, if Mike McCarthy gets fired after this season, Belichick's things are trending in the wrong direction in New England. Like maybe that's where he goes and he can stick it to Kraft as part of that whole deal. But like I don't know, I feel like Dallas, from a roster standpoint, might even be trending in the wrong direction. So like that feels ready-made now, but like I'm not sure a year from now that we're having the same conversation about them.
And like I don't want to zero in on the Cowherd thing, but like it just doesn't feel. I don't know. It's just or the control or being the star, and if it's all about chasing Shula, then maybe it's not a huge deal and everybody's in play. At the same time, if this guy wants to come back to coach just so he can break a record, he probably has a pretty big ego that might have a hard time coexisting with Jerry Jones. So, yeah, I get why it's the favorite. I get why it makes sense. If it does happen, I almost think it's far more likely it happens as an interim in 24 into 25 than it does we get to the end of 25 and they go out and hire him. It almost makes more sense to like try to save your season this year, see what you can do with it,
Yeah.
and then kind of reassess it afterwards. Whereas like if they get to the end of the season and they're at a point where they want to fire or not re-sign Mike McCarthy, who's going into his last year of his contract, you might as well try to find a better choice for the future. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit for long-term thinking, but I could see them kind of coming back on that. So yeah, for me, I think the Eagles, like I said, 6-1, Buffalo 12-1 would be the two that I circle as the most likely outcomes, I guess.
So I thought you raising the Baltimore point is kind of interesting because like when you look down the board, like I was trying to find like who's like a 75-1 or longer that could be an option, and it really is just like you're basically looking for something kind of unforeseen to happen. Mm-hmm. So like I feel that same way about like Kansas City. Right?
Kansas City made sense until Andy Reid just signed a contract extension.
Right.
So you have to get sick
it would be
or healthy.
Exactly. Like some really unforeseen thing. But like those are the types of things that are like, well, maybe if I just sprinkle a little on that. But like looking sort of in like that second tier once you get past the Phillies, the Dallas, I'll throw two at you. What about Jacksonville? Like I know it's not a sexy pick. We're not talking about a prestigious franchise here, but like isn't that like the AFC equivalent of Brady going to Tampa?
I was just gonna say these things almost have to be unsexy just because it never works out the way you think it does, and that's how Tom Brady ends up with the Bucs.
Look, Doug Peterson, mixed results, 9-8 in back-to-back seasons. I mean he's 56. He's not on the younger side of this coaching the influx of young coaches that is coming up. So like. I think they're in kind of a win now situation where they'd be okay with hiring a Bill Belichick and trying to go after it for a couple of years. You have the QB locked up. Trevor Lawrence just got his new deal. I feel like Belichick might be the best thing for a guy like that, where has all the skills in the world, but just sort of needs to button some things up, like the turnover problems and whatnot. Bad division, so you want to talk wins? Like they're there. They're very attainable. That owner, I mean, you're looking for a team that's looking to create a little buzz. You got the international appeal, the London games. They're trying to build that like stadium of the future or renovate the stadium of the future, whatever it may be. 25-1. I don't know. That's a team that I know we think Belichick, we think like the history of the game and all that jazz, but I see Jacksonville and I'm like, maybe that's one that's a little off the grid, but could work.
Yeah, that could make sense.
Other one, Cincinnati. They underachieved this year. Maybe you start taking a look in the mirror. Is Zach Taylor the guy?
Yeah.
I know Belichick. You want to go back to like the history thing, but like always spoke very highly of Paul Brown.
Paul Brown, yeah.
A lot of respect for that franchise.
Go back to Ohio.
There is like new meaning to we're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus Christ. That would be so invited. We can't have that.
Yeah, it would suck. Content machine though, it works out well for us. Obviously, again, the quarterback's there. Better one in that situation. Never won a Super Bowl, so there is like that allure too. Like if he cares about kind of leaving his fingerprints on a franchise.
I don't think he does.
Probably not. But that's another one. 25-1, both Cincinnati and Jacksonville. Those are my two that stuck out like kind of down the board a little bit.
I went a little more aggressive with it. I had two as well. I got San Francisco 100-1. It's obviously one of the most talented rosters in the league. There are some cap considerations that we talked about last week, so who knows what that's going to look like. Can you keep it together, though, for 2 more years? And if that's the case, then maybe we're in a little bit better position. It makes more sense to bring in a guy like that. Let's just try to get through this window if we can. He obviously has a relationship with John Lynch, who is supposedly calling the shots here. And I say supposedly because it will bring me back to another point. But Lynch, obviously, two guys respect each other. Lynch even played for Belichick here in New England. I think it comes down to how much
for like 5 minutes.
It was still technically was in the building.
I actually have a buddy who has a John Lynch Patriots jersey.
That's a great jersey to have. It comes down to like just how much power Kyle Shanahan has in the building. I also I think Shanahan runs everything. I also think Belichick might have a tough time being the guy who replaces Shanahan. If does he get fired? Maybe. I don't know. He's obviously...
But that's like exactly what I'm talking about with like something kind of unforeseen. But like you could maybe could see it.
Let's say they go 14
like a power struggle in San Francisco. Like that's all it takes.
And like let's say they go 14-3, lose in the divisional. They get the bye, lose in the divisional round to a team they have no business losing to at home. Now it's like
I was gonna say they could go to the Super Bowl, lose in the Super Bowl, like and all of a sudden like
that up.
People start getting pissed off at each other.
There's also a chance, like we've seen this kind of with McVay at various junctures. It's like, does somebody else come calling, whether it's another job or TV or something like that, and does he just these guys grind it to the bone, and all of a sudden, is this what you want to do, or is just something else open up and he finds a way to get out of his contract? Maybe that's a way for Belichick to feel a little bit better about going there. It's probably unlikely, and that's why it's 100-1, and it's the longest of long shots. Also 100-1, Miami. Same kind of idea. Mike McDaniel, he's a genius. I love him. He's like my favorite coach in the league. It's kind of harder. It's almost harder to find a way for him to lose his job here than it is even Shanahan.
Imagine that culture shock.
Oh my God, that's a good point too. Yeah, that's a fair point. But if they woefully underperform, could they make a change? And he's probably got his eye on like the AFC East, honestly, and that's why Buffalo makes sense too. This thing, the power, the balance of power in the AFC East could be. Who knows what it's going to look like in 2 years? Who knows what it's going to look like at the end of this year?
Yeah,
there's a lot of volatility even with the best teams in the division. So, the Baltimore one. Maybe actually, the more I look at it, is like if you made me put like a $10 bet on it, I'd probably put it on Baltimore just because
75-1.
You're thinking it's just like. Harbaugh's been there so long that maybe he just wakes up one day and is like, I don't want to do it. Yeah,
I don't want to do it anymore.
And if that's the case, Belichick should be their first call. That's a place where he makes sense too. It's you're not restarting, but you're not so close that it's like it's just makes sense.
I mean, this whole exercise though speaks to the difficulty of finding like you're projecting ahead, like what? Because the other thing is too, it's not like Belichick has to come back.
Yeah,
like there's a certain level to him and be like, well, if there's nobody wants me, then whatever.
That's gonna be interesting.
Like he's clearly got his plate full with all the media obligations and stuff. Anyways, so
probably gonna be on the campaign trail this fall too.
That's a good point. Good
Stumping
point
for Trump.
But then you're projecting ahead, like what are these teams gonna look like in 2 years or whatever?
Yeah,
which is kind of an exercise they did on ESPN.com this week. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, do you want to get to that, or do you want to do first coach fired?
Oh, you could do that too. I mean,
well, I have some takes on first coach fired.
All right, fire away.
We could get because we just talked about it.
It kind of goes hand in hand.
It was a great. I don't want to derail your segue. It was a great segue.
Nice,
I just like
It's like I threw the alley oop and you dished it back out to the 3-point line.
I grabbed it.
You're playing Missoula ball.
I'm trying to shoot a three. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
thank you. Let me take this back out here. I'm going to try to shoot a corner three now. Fade away. Kobe. Graziano mentioned it. He's like, I think there are probably some guys already uneasy. And you look at this
he's getting
list,
whacked. He's getting Belichick.
Yeah, you look at this list, and it's interesting. Robert Saleh.
He's going to be fired before you get that name down. That I do know.
It's not a bit, I swear to God. He's the favorite, plus 550. First coach. I guess a favorite's a weird way of putting it. But Mike McCarthy at 6-1, Matt Eberflus 7-1, Dennis Allen 7-1, Todd Bowles 8-1, Brian Dable 8-1, Nick Sirianni 9-1, and then Antonio Pierce 10-1, which is kind of interesting. I've got a few here that I could make a case for. If I had to make a bet today, same idea, probably making Dennis Allen. Because like everything about it is so meh that it doesn't.
Meh, and that team.
Like if the defense stinks, then what's the point? You might as well turn it over to like the offensive coordinator or something, or bring somebody in. I don't think that's a Belichick landing place if he gets fired first. But you look at two, they start the season Carolina, which could be a win, but if they lose that, they're already in trouble. But Carolina at Dallas, home Philly, at Atlanta, at Kansas City on a Monday night. It could be like we just got embarrassed on Monday night. We got to make a move here. So that would be my guy I'd have to make a bet on. I'd make it on him. I've also got my eye on Nick Sirianni 9-1 as well, for a lot of the reasons that we talked about with the Philly thing. They also, this is an actual betting tip. If you're looking at this market, I think you've got to look at who has an early buy, because if you want, if it's going to be early, if you're going to be the first coach fired, teams make the move in the bye week. Week 5 is probably a little early, but they start with Green Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. They could be 4-0. They could also be 0-4. So I also think, too, this is where the Belichick thing comes in. if you want to bring Belichick in and you're at least interested in doing it, if you're like Dallas and Philly, like, is there maybe a rush to fire their coach so they can bring Belichick in? You know what I mean?
It's like a Belichick bidding war almost at that point.
But like, you have to
it went from nobody wanting him to
I know
two NFC powerhouses battling for his.
But we both kind of agree that I think with those teams, it's like the expectations are high, and I think they're two teams that would be likely to make a deal if they needed to or make a move. So, anything catch your eye? I had a couple more, but I'll let you go.
What was Todd Bowles?
8-1.
I mean, that's kind of got a little bit of a Dennis Allen feel to it, like where it's just kind of
Todd Bowles.
kind of like he kind of saved his job last year with the run that they went on. They opted to not rebuild and instead bring back Baker Mayfield and some of the some of the other
Dave
impending
too. So
so like there's a chance that they just. I mean, they overachieved last year, so there's a chance that it's not very good. You want to talk about the bye? Theirs is week 11. The 2 games before that, they play Monday night at Kansas City, and then the 49ers. Like, they could get dump trucked in those 2 games. You get to week 11, and Bowles is out the door. So that's like one. I don't know. That jumps out to me.
I also McDermott
maybe because they might be able to contend in that division, but not quite. Like that might be like a Hail Mary to try to save the season in week 11.
To tie the title together, McDermott 14-1. He's probably on thin ice as it is. Another potential Belichick landing spot, and they start with Arizona at home, then at Miami, Jacksonville, at Baltimore, at Houston, at the Jets. If they survive that, they have a 4-week run of at Seattle, Miami, at Indy, and KC going into Week 11 bye. McDaniels last year was the first coach fired. That was around Halloween. That was a little early. After that, nobody got fired till late November, so maybe even a mid-season thing kind of makes sense.
It's like Week 11 could be a bloodbath.
Yeah, that's right.
We have our way.
It's going to happen to somebody.
Buckle up for Week 11.
And then, like, McCarthy, 6-1 is whatever. So, you got a good segue to redo here to go into the...
I could circle, but I already forget my previous one.
So... McDermott, Buffalo. I think their championship window.
Now.
Their championship window might be closing. You project ahead the next couple of years. I don't know what Buffalo is going to be, but ESPN this week did do a few. Do you have the?
You ever? I'm sorry, I don't think to derail you now. Like, you ever just start like looking things up while we're doing this because we have questions, and then
you don't listen to a word I said.
But then like you get back to your desk after, and you just got all these random ass tabs open. Yeah. Like, I'll be like, why did I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule?
That's a good point.
Because I'll keep it open until like 5 o'clock tonight.
Looking at the Lions depth
But anyways,
chart.
yes, I do have that pulled up if that was where you were going to ask me.
So what do they do? So these are ESPN's annual future power rankings focused on the next 3 seasons, 2024 through 2026. What do they grade it on? Quarterback, overall roster, minus the quarterback, coaching, and front office. The Kansas City Chiefs, to the surprise of no one, defending Super Bowl champions and favorites to win again this year, are number 1, followed by Baltimore, Buffalo, Detroit, and Philly, rounding out the top 5. I think this is always an interesting thing to look at and to kind of take stock of. Locally here, what are the Patriots, 27?
26.
26. I wrote something about this, I think it was 2 years ago, whatever that would have been. I guess that would have been right before Mac Jones' like first full season. Well, no, I guess because he won the job out of, I don't know, whatever. But I was like, I think they're like 13. I'm like, is it going to get worse before it gets better? And it sure got worse before it got better. So I don't know if you have any Patriots takes on that. I feel like 26 does feel about right if we're being honest.
Yeah, I think I kind of think they're going to be better than some people expect this year. I don't expect them to jump into contender status, but like I think they're going to be competitive. And
I think it comes down to how good Mayo is. Like,
and I think
at least buttoned up, then yeah.
Because I think that defense has the potential to be really
exactly.
good.
So like if he just doesn't screw it up, they should be competitive.
Like I don't think like 7 wins is off the table.
A lot of it depends on like how good the rest of the division is.
Well, and so that's the other part of it that I was going to mention is I think that if this time next year, this division might be in a worse spot than it is right now. Because like that Jets thing, very volatile. That whole thing could blow up. Buffalo, I mean, I don't know what that defense is going to look like. They've gotten younger.
Right.
Have they gotten better? I don't know. I got to see it. I also think there's the potential for that offense to not be quite as good. Like, I mean, there's really no weapons there. Does that all of a sudden force Josh Allen to become like what he was before? Like, he's just starting to force things, and kind of that window closes, and then Bill Belichick comes down, tries to fix it. But, you know, like, those are two teams right there that I'm like, they might take a step back this year. And Miami, who the hell knows? Like, they're kind of wishy-washy year to year. So, yeah, I think there's a chance that, you know, I think the Patriots are clearly the worst team in the AFC East right now, but I think by next year, maybe they're more second or third best team. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Looking at this list,
but it's not going to happen this year. Like, so they're 26 now. When they do these rankings again next year, the Patriots could be 16.
We'll get to that. Super Bowl 60 is not this year, but next year. That is 2026.
Yes. It's LX.
Yes, it is. Yes. So we ran through. I posed this to you. Let's separate the ESPN rankings into tier 1 to 10. It's first tier. 11 to 20. 21 to 32. Tell me who you want to bet to win Super Bowl.
We don't have
60.
we don't have the odds.
I checked. We don't have them yet.
Okay.
So 1 through 10. Is there?
I guess we can just say what the odds are for this year if we really wanted to. But whatever. Okay, 1 through 10.
We're gonna meeting soon.
Why? Because I don't want to take the Chiefs. I'm taking the number one team. Seems like a layup. I'll take the Ravens.
2 years from now, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're another team that had a lot of moving parts. Obviously, a tough division kind of complicates matters for them on a year-to-year basis. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand, they have a lot of their starters under contract through like 2025.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, the offense is going to be good. I think the defense has the potential to be, you know, well, it's younger, but I think it could be good, and you're gonna have that continuity year to year. So
for me, I'm taking the Packers. They're number 9. I think Jordan Love is just gonna get better year by year. They're gonna get more cohesion with that receiver room, which is pretty young, still a little untested. I think you look at a lot of it comes down to what they can do with Jeff Hafley running the defense. Maybe I give them a year to kind of get their stuff together next year, kind of peak for next year. So I like them at number 9. It came down to them or the Texans.
You're really just figuring out, like, well, do I want to take the team that I know is really good now, or the team that maybe has a higher ceiling, but their floor is lower? Are the Packers
more likely to take the step forward than the first 5 teams are to take the step backward? Same idea, right?
Math equation.
Second tier, 11 through 20. I think we might have the same one. I think this is like an obvious one here.
Why? All right, who is it?
The Chargers?
Yeah.
Number 17.
17, yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, guy who knows it. Give him a year to get his hands on Justin Herbert. I think it's a pretty talented offense. Defense, got some holes, but they give him a year to get stuff back in order.
So we're only going 1 year ahead. So
yeah.
I look at the Rams.
That was my next one. I just don't
know.
Number
12.
Too many flight risks.
See, they have the coach in place. That offense is going to be good for as long as he's there. Stafford is, 36, I want to say?
I'm just not buying Stafford.
That's not terribly old in quarterback terms. Like, he'll still be good a year from now. They've done a really good job of, like, hitting on some guys later in the draft, especially on the defensive side. So, like, maybe you get the defense comes together for a year, looks much better in 25 to go with what is already a good offense. So that would be my pick in that team.
Yeah, they do. They're good at turning over the best for us.
I mean, they went out and they traded all those picks or whatever, went all in, win a Super Bowl, and you're like, well, the cupboard's bare. Rebuild is ahead of schedule, and they added some pieces later in the draft. So.
I look forward to settling this in a year when the Chargers play the Rams in the Super Bowl.
That's going to be nice.
And then
Super Bowl LX, too. We can
LAX.
Slip an A in there, and now we're cooking.
The airport. 21 through 32, tier 3. What do you got?
Let me look here.
The Patriots, by the sounds of it.
No, I'll say the Falcons.
I had the Falcons too.
Yeah, I see. I'm not huge on the Falcons this year, as many people are,
because they're so caught in the middle. But maybe the quarterback thing works itself out. I think I like Raheem Morris. I have no reason not to like him. I don't think. I think he's the perfect example of a guy that didn't work the first time around. He comes back and is much better.
Agreed.
And
I think he'll get his hands on the defense, and it'll be probably better than people, because that's the knock on them, right?
The offense can't get worse either, too. I thought they did a pretty good job drafting as well. Give it a year, maybe they got a shot. And that division is winnable every year. Yeah. What team is going to fall crash hard out of all these teams? Any of these teams on the list?
But you have to. I mean,
it could be. You could take like the Vikings falling from 21 to 32.
I was gonna say, but that's like, I don't know. That's kind of cheating. So I want to look at like the top group. I think Buffalo's
for obvious
a lot
choice.
of the reasons I just mentioned. In San Francisco.
San Francisco is it? I feel like I flip-flopped on San Francisco like 3 times in the course of this show.
The thing with San Francisco, it's like clearly they've got the Brandon Ayuk situation going on, which is whatever, but it's like it's indicative of a bigger problem that they're now facing. It's like they're gonna have to
pay the
pick
running
an
back
avenue.
$1 bajillion, right?
They paid the running back who. We've seen how that works, right? Like he could break down, especially with the usage that that is applied to him. Like that could go south really quick. You're gonna have to pay Brock Purdy. What if he stinks?
What if he's not good?
Like what if he just stinks? Especially when you're taking away an Ayuk or a Deebo Samuel. Like I don't know, Kyle Shanahan maybe.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like that team right now on paper might be the best roster in the NFL, but a year from now,
they're running the wheels off this thing. When it crashes, it's going to crash hard.
It's closing quick.
That's right.
It's closing very quick.
Who's going to rise? Like a good dough.
I think the Bears are the obvious one.
I skipped over the Bears because
it's
too cliche.
What are they, number 20 on that list?
Yeah.
So like that feels obvious.
I'm also not entirely sold on that entire operation.
What about the Colts?
Colts 19.
If Anthony Richardson
is a
is
bit of an issue.
Yeah, but what if they get back to what they were along the line?
That'd be great. I just don't
know.
New
identity with Anthony Richardson.
I think my issue with Richardson for his entire career, and this maybe is unfair based on 1 year of professional football, is how healthy can it be? So that's a bit of a question mark. But I could see like if he's healthy this year, they are going to jump, right? Like it's gonna be like, oh, look at this team. They'll be a trendy Super Bowl pick next year if he stays healthy. For me, number 20, what was it? 25, 26, the Patriots.
Okay.
So it's more just like what's likely here. Can they go up 10 spots? I'm playing this as a math thing. Like literally the highest riser, if you start that low, you can get up into the middle of the league. There's plenty of room for them to go up. If Drake May is good, which CJ Stroud actually came out and said he's the best, or he's the most NFL-ready quarterback of all the rookies, they're going to go up fast. There's some helium there, if you will. The defensive core is really very good. They just hired a defensive-minded head coach. We assume that that's going to be pretty shored up on that side of the ball. And then again, we could sit here. We could spend an hour talking about all the question marks the rest of the division has.
Yep.
So who knows what the landscape of the East looks like in a year. So, I think they're going to be better. All right.
What about the Cardinals? 28.
No.
I guess that comes down if you believe in Kyler Murray or not.
Or, like, who's the coach?
Because I think that offense could be good. Could be good. Jonathan Gannon. Tough look to him.
Yeah, right.
He got a tough look. Doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
Cardinals coach Bill Belichick. All right. Can we even say the word Olympics? I was gonna do the
games,
but it's you
the
can't put
sporting games.
You can't put like the name anywhere. You can't put the rings anywhere. You can't put any. It's very well protected. Can't put the Olympic torch anywhere. So you're cease and desist right now. Gonna get a.
It's amazing how this is the
letter from the IOC.
State United
you were a little behind schedule for today's recording. Is that because you were doing arts and crafts?
I was doing arts and crafts in the break room while also talking to somebody about a trip they had just gone on. So and then I had to go back and check an email, and then I had to pee, and then I came here.
Do you watch the Olympics?
Okay, so here's my thing about the Olympics. I feel like my opinion on the whole thing has changed a little bit over the years.
Yeah.
And I think that's a product of like my sports consumption habits or fandom changing.
All you do is watch golf now.
I think I just now embrace the Olympics for what it is.
Wow. Does that mean you're into the
I'm
Olympics?
not like into it, but I used to hate it. I used to be like, now I think complaining about the Olympics is a hardo move.
Okay.
Like, they don't. What do I care about swimming? And it's like, well, yeah, I don't either. But like, when I have football and the NBA shoved down my throat for 365 days, I don't care. I'll watch a little skateboarding.
You're into a men's team pursuit? Do you even know what
if
that is?
If I can put a wager on it, then yeah, I'm into it.
Do you know the men's?
I'd watch two hermit crabs duke it out if I could.
Kieran? I guess that's some sort of cycling. What about swimming? You said swimming. You're gonna be really
water
into
polo.
The breaststroke.
I'd watch.
The backstroke.
You wouldn't watch water polo at like 2 a.m.
No, I don't want to be. Now I feel like I'm being unfairly painted as a hardo just because I don't really. I don't know. This
growing up is accepting the Olympics.
The other way, look at the Olympics.
Part of the maturation process.
Truly performative. It's spoken like the type of people who watch, the Today Show to see what. I was gonna say Matt Lauer, but I think he's been since canceled. Carson Daly has to say about the swimmer from Walla Walla who's some great story. It's too fluffy for me. What? So
it's for me. We get this content overload, right? We talk about that all the time.
It's too much content.
So I like the idea of having a little something different to feast my eyes on for a few weeks.
I do like it's going to Paris. I think venue, like it does for a lot of sports,
the beach volleyball.
The beach volleyball, it looks really cool right next to the Eiffel Tower, stuff like that. They were doing. I
love the random hours though. That's my thing.
That too. Reading a story about the Boston Olympics were supposed to come here for 2024. They are not. They're in Paris. They were talking about doing shooting in Billerica, which I thought or doing rowing on the Deerfield River out in Western Mass.
Yeah.
I was like, this is kind of funny. So that type of stuff, the novelty of it is.
They should do it in areas, but make no structural changes or anything. Like don't build anything.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Just do it at
it's like right
random
off
high school fields.
It's right off of some Boston Road strip mall in Billerica.
Yeah,
and Middlesex.
And people just tailgate and stuff.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Do you have any specialties of what you want to bet for the Olympics? Have you made any bets yet? Or are you just kind of taking the board as it comes?
No, I'm definitely take it as it comes. I'm gonna take it as it comes, and it's gonna be very much. It's again going back to how I watch sports now. When I'm watching a nice competition, I like to have something tangible on it. Whether it's a wager, fantasy implications,
Problem better.
Because I don't care otherwise. I just don't care about sports anymore.
It's a strange kind of circuitous, argument on your part where you're just like, screw you if you don't care about the Olympics, but I don't actually care about stuff.
That's
fair. I guess I would look at. I'm just gonna watch the Olympics. Summer Olympics are cool to me because there's golf.
What do you hate about?
I just want to watch golf. The not the fraud, but just the.
You know what I like?
The corruption
I guess the corruption.
I just don't like. I don't like sports. I don't want to be held accountable for that necessarily. But I don't like swimming in non-Olympic years, so I'm not going to watch it now. It's nothing against them. Track and field, people get on people for watching NASCAR. Track and field is literally you're running the length of a football field, man. Are you gonna tune in for the marathon? That sucks too when it's here. I don't judge anyone. I don't really even have a thing against it necessarily. It's just stuff I don't like.
I think I've brought this up before when it comes to some of the soccer competitions. I just like international competition. I like people representing their country.
When it's
I just
sports
think it's cool.
I like.
Yeah, but
like hockey. I don't want to sound too North American, but
it's
a
big world out there, Mike. Embrace it.
The World Cup is better than.
Oh, I love the World Cup.
The Olympic soccer. So there's better versions of that stuff elsewhere.
No, I know. I agree with that.
All right, before we go,
I love the World Baseball Classic.
You suggested coming up with gold medals, silver medals, and bronze medals to hand out for the first half of 2024. I think this is a nice bow to tie in the half a year.
So these are talking about sports that you do care about.
Okay, so right? what's your gold medal for the first half of 2024?
We're going to give this to just individual athletes because we're at a good halfway point of the year too. Yeah. About 6.5 months in here. So gold medal, I'd give it to Travis Kelce.
Wow. Okay.
Won a Super Bowl. Got the new contract.
Sure.
He's got the girl. Positioned himself for a nice little post-playing career. He's killing it in 2024. Gold medal.
Sure. Similarly, okay. All right. I guess I'm on the same.
Is that what you expected from when I pitched this exercise?
Yeah, I guess so. I just wasn't sure if you're gonna get zany with it.
Gold medal. We don't have medals. I look for them at Party City, but they didn't have any. So.
Fair enough. Jason Tatum, same idea. Got the distinction of the monkey off his back with the Celtics winning the title, and he did it despite taking a back seat to another guy, so he didn't even have to really do all the work. just got a new contract that'll pay him $58 million years in the first year, $71 million in the last year. He's making like $685,000 a game. So that's my gold medal, Jason Tatum. He could actually win a gold medal too.
Silver medal, Xander Schauffele. You want to talk about getting the monkey off your back? Winning 2 majors in the same year will do that for you.
My silver medal, Xander Schauffele.
Good pick. Good pick.
Results this year: 8th at the Masters, won the PGA, 7th at the U.S. Open, and won the Open Championship. He's also going to defend his gold medal at the Olympics. He won the gold medal in 2020.
There you go.
Who's your bronze medal?
Bronze medal, Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens. Sure.
Made his MLB debut, started the MLB All-Star game. He's going to win National League Rookie of the Year. Again, he's got the girl, too. Could win the Cy Young at this point, which we talked about a few weeks ago, and I told you it was crazy talk because his innings limit might be in place.
That I didn't bet that.
But with each passing outing, it looks like more and more of a real possibility. I think as of this recording on Wednesday, he was plus 350 at FanDuel to win NL Cy Young, trailing only Chris Sale and Zach Wheeler. Pirates could make the playoffs the first time. I know they're on the outside looking in, but first time since 2015. They are plus 460 to make the playoffs. So a lot going on for Mr. Skeens and the Pirates right now. He is my bronze medal.
My bronze medal, this isn't by no way a political endorsement whatsoever.
If you got to preface it that way.
Donald Trump
lay it on me.
Was millimeters from getting his head blown off, turned just an athletic move to the side, did not die. When you do not get shot in the head, when somebody tried to do it from such close range and you narrowly avoid it and you live to tell another day, and then you go play golf with Bryson and break 50 or whatever they did.
So you
bronze medal.
So you consider
also very tan, bronze.
Was the athlete? He's a golfer. Considering him a golfer.
He did this.
Huh? Okay.
He moved a little bit.
All right.
If he didn't make an athletic move,
sure,
his head would have gotten blown off. So all right, Ricky, enjoy the Olympics.
You too, Mike.
I guess we'll have time to talk about the Olympics again next week if you want. So.
I mean, we got a month of this?
Yeah, don't remind me. So that's Ricky. I'm Mike. Thanks for joining us. See you again next week. Goodbye.